Have you ever watched grass grow? It's a really exciting pastime. At least, so I've heard. I've never had the patience to sit and try to watch it grow. It's kind of an odd metaphor to use here in Albuquerque since we have so little grass. When I was in high school, though, at St. Pius, we have very lush grass. You'd be surprised how much energy it takes to maintain it. They have to put up ropes to keep people from walking on it. You would think that the grass itself was like the Blessed Sacrament, given how much devotion it's given over there. But St. Paul's calling us to that very challenging reality of seeing the value in what it is to be present to invisible growth. He challenges us and says, "See how the farmer waits for the precious fruit of the earth, being patient with it until it receives the early and the late rain. You too must be patient. Let your hearts be firm." Now, through this whole Advent season, we've been challenged with the idea of waiting and patience. But as we come to the third Sunday of Advent, as you may have noticed from our Advent wreath in the gathering space, or if you have one at home, this third Sunday is when we light the rose candle. We do so as a sign of our joy. Now, joy is a challenging thing because we're still waiting, and yet we're now joyful. How are we joyful in something that we've yet to actually receive? We haven't arrived to Christmas yet. You would think that would be the moment of joy, but today is. Well, joy, I think we too easily conflate with happiness. But it's so much deeper than that. Joy is rooted in hope. Joy is inspired by faith. Joy is when we with confidence trust so firmly in what we know will be in God's love and mercy that we can glimpse and experience it now, even if it hasn't come to full flower. The prophet Isaiah continues to give us these images, the desert and the steep in full bloom. These things that seem to take something that appears one way and recognize that it will be transformed into something totally different than how we conceive of it now. And yet he too uses the imagery of the growth of flowers, of plants, of fruit. Things that change so imperceptibly that no matter how hard we try, we cannot grasp its movement until we see the fruit that it has borne. Those of us who are attentive to our lives of faith, I think, recognize that that's precisely what this journey is. It's very easy to get caught off by things with flashy externals. And I think many of us that come to Mass, sometimes ourselves feel it, or we all know friends and family that say, "Gosh, Mass is so boring. Just go there and we sit and listen to the guy in the funny robes. He talks at us about stuff we don't really understand. Then we sit and we say the same words again and again and again. Why? Why do we do that? You can go other places, get a lot better show. Flashy lights, smoke machines, Hawaiian shirts, pastors with better hair. So why do we come here and to all the other places in which Mass is celebrated each Sunday? It's because we recognize that in those moments that at times can feel like we're watching grass grow are in fact the most significant moments of our spiritual journey. Because they're the ones that God is calling us deep into the roots of our identity. So that then we can recognize with true conviction the beauty of the flowers that are born. In the waiting of Advent, we're not waiting for a bouquet to be thrown at us, and we can say, look at how beautiful this is, and a week later have it wither, die, and blow away in the wind. In our waiting in Advent, we're called to tap into something that is growing imperceptibly, but deeper and more profoundly each day. Through the confidence and trust we place in the movement of God's grace, even amidst the chaos and confusion and sufferings of our daily lives. When we allow those roots to grow, even when we can't see that taking place, then we will be present in the moment that the flowers bloom. Because we're already attentive. We're already present. We're already allowing God to move in our lives in ways that are subtle and silent, and yet very powerful. When John the Baptist sends his followers to ask Jesus, are you the one who is coming, or should we wait for another? Jesus doesn't say, yes, I am he. He tells them, well, go share with John what you've seen. Do the blind see? Do the deaf hear? Are the lepers cleansed? Do the lame walk? Have the poor had the good news proclaimed to them? Isn't that what the prophets said would be the indication that the Messiah has come? But he challenges them further. And he says, what truly captures your heart? He said, you all went out to follow John. Why'd you go out into the desert? What was there? Did you go just to see a reed blowing in the wind? I don't know if that'd be worth the cost of admission. He said, you certainly didn't go out to see this guy clothed in rich garments, because you'd have to go to the palace for that. So remember that crazy dude you found out in the desert who was wearing camel hair and eating locusts and telling you all sorts of things about how sinful you were and how you needed to repent? Remember how that actually captured your heart? It seems counterintuitive, and that there was something of beauty and grace there because of the depth of the truth of who John was and what he proclaimed. Not because of the externals that caught your attention, but because of the grace that moved your heart. And so he says for himself, so what have you seen of me? What does that mean? Is there truth to that? Is the fruit that is born an indication that there is something greater than what you see? And that's the very same invitation he gives to us. And so as we search for that space of joy, even amidst oftentimes the sadness and discomfort and uncertainties of our lives, as we search for that place that is affirmed in hope and inspired by faith, that can begin to know now within our hearts that which we believe God will bring about, we're challenged to reach for the roots of our faith. The emergence of joy, in many ways, is not much different than that of love. When you've known real, true, authentic love, maybe for your spouse, maybe for your child, maybe for a dear friend, we find ourselves willing and able to do things we never imagined we could. In fact, we find ourselves doing things we find unpleasant. And yet they carry great meaning. And whatever that initial excitement and flash of happiness and inspiration that drew us in happened to be, that fades. But as that excitement becomes less intense, the significance of the depths of the meaning that it carries grow ever deeper. And those become the roots that allow us to live day in and day out the commitments to which we're called to care for the people to whom we've been entrusted and who've been entrusted to us. And so those very same seeds that are often planted in us that may have caught our attention because of the flashes of life that brought us a sense of comfort and hope and consolation and happiness and whatever could be fleeting in the moment, if we allow them, if we allow those roots to deepen, we can find that joy that can inspire us and carry us through the deepest shadows through which we may tread, because we know that the God who planted that joy is the God who will bring it to fulfillment in the coming of his kingdom.